but this exam is too big to make a mistake on.
Wait,
Yeah.
I remember 2,000 cards a day. Were you actually doing 5,000?
I thought it was content. It really isn't content.
So you're saying I should increase my prices?
No, please don't.
It's tough love. It's tough love.
It is.
Well, doctor, care to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, I'm Clayton Rosson. I'm a third-year DO PhD student hoping to apply into neurosurgery, and pre-med educated helped me pass COMLEX Level 1.
Not even scripted. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So, Dr. Clayton, it's been a pleasure to see you again after working with you for a grueling, was it 2-3 months?
It was about almost 3 months.
Okay.
It was fun, though.
Well, for one of us.
You, not me. I hated it. You were great.
Exactly. I love doing this on Friday at 8 p.m. So, could you tell us a little bit about your journey, your background? What was it like before you met us, just leading up to that?
Yeah, in my medical school, they tend to go really deep into subjects that are not on boards. And of course, OMM's always a problem because there's no standardization. So a lot of my studying and like things with like Anki and even using third party mixed with school resources, it was just not as board focused as I would have liked. You need to know all these things plus some extra stuff. Go master it for boards. Thanks. No. So it didn't really work as well. That got me through school, but it wasn't getting me to where I needed for boards.
Okay. Gotcha. So did you have any requirements to sit for level 1? Like we were struggling with COMSAs, anything like that?
Yes. We would, in March of the year we took boards, we had to take a practice exam, and then that was just our starting point. We needed to get a 450 in order to sit for it. The test to get a 450 was 2 weeks before your date.
Okay. Gotcha. I don't recall at this point, but did you end up taking a COMSA before you started working with us and you weren't quite at the 450 mark?
The first one I took was a 425.
Oh, okay. So you were pretty close.
Yes.
And then it took 3 extra months to get.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Great. You know what? Maybe we'll just scrap this whole video.
No, it's fine.
So do you feel like there was one thing in particular that was holding you back?
Yes. I feel like for me, while there were areas of content I wasn't the most perfect at, for me, it was 2 main things. It was OMM and more than anything else, the way phrasing was. It wasn't that I didn't know it. It was, I think it's this answer where that wasn't what they were wanting.
Okay. So interpreting OMM and then just kind of question analysis, trying to figure out what the questions were actually asking you.
Yeah. Often I felt like I knew the content, but the question didn't translate to the right answer.
Right. So how did you hear about us?
I had a friend in med school who was using you guys, and she liked you so far, and I was desperate. So I'm like,
oh, that's
sure.
right. Okay, I remember now. It's your referral.
Yeah.
Got it.
It was, yes.
Yeah, love it. And we were desperate. So, what were you hoping to get out of tutoring?
I honestly wasn't expecting to get as much help as the OMM. I was more expecting to get better at analyzing questions and then to fill the gaps that were areas where it wasn't a question analysis problem. It was just didn't know that. Get better at test taking in general because we didn't cover that as much.
Absolutely. That's just schools. They give you a lot of low yield material and then say good luck when it comes to board season. So were you considering any other board prep programs?
No, I had never actually considered one until my friend recommended it to me. She had tried others and I didn't like them because I used them for MCAT and they were okay, but they weren't the greatest. She said good things about us. I'm like, why not? Cool. It's only money.
Awesome. Yeah, there. It's only my entire future. I think I won't get a second opinion. We'll just go with this one.
Yes.
Cool.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate the trust you had in us. Was there anything that really kind of pushed you over the edge and said, yeah, I want to go with these people and give Dr. Lucas a try? Actually,
despite her recommendation, I'm like, absolutely not. I am not doing this until I met you. And we had a practice session.
Wow.
Because I remember telling my parents about I was going to talk to you, like, oh, please don't get a tutor program. It's not going to work. And I remember talking to you and thinking you felt completely different than the way Norda did it, the way my MCAT tutors did it, because you actually started targeting the actual exam and you brought up OMM stuff. And we did a few practice questions. And like, if it's going to work, this feels custom. So it was your session that convinced me.
Absolutely. So you're talking about the trial session. We did a trial. Probably worked through a practice question or two and thought, hey, this guy's not as dumb as he looks.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. So what did your progress look like once we started working together? Because honestly, it was kind of choppy. As far as I remember, it wasn't as nice and smooth as we'd love to have seen, like a nice linear trend line. But sometimes I think progress is more than just how you're doing on your score reports. It's also kind of a headspace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it was getting out of my own comfort zone. I think that was when we started. I had to slowly over time ditch the other habits I had in mid school. I was a really big Anki person, so that had to kind of phase out as we went along. And I just think I had to get better at questions, which isn't an up and down path. I started kind of in the middle to high 300s, and then I got to the fours, and then we kind of stayed there for a while. And then we slowly crept up to around the upper 400s, which was when I was finally confident enough to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind if I actually show your doc?
If you want, I don't care.
Okay. You said a couple things there that I do want to revisit, like the Anki thing, but this is where we were. What was our first session here? It looks like July 21st. Man, it feels like forever ago.
It does.
So right around here between these two, you were in as low as the 200s. That was probably your first ComSay ever, creeping up the fours, high 300s. And then we started working together. I don't think you ever submitted my practice test, which makes me feel bad, but that's okay.
I did submit it. I got a 55%. I did.
You did it the wrong way, but that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, even if it's incorrect. We had you repeat some ComSays just because you kind of have to, once you get to a point where you've done almost all of them. We had to get creative with these practice tests. But once we saw, like you said, some of the high 400s repeatedly, it wasn't just once. We tested it with third-party resources, 51st percentile on those. And then really what I always say is a big component of whether or not you're ready to test is your confidence level. Did you feel more confident when you were about to take the test as opposed to when we had just started working together?
It's weird with boards because I was never certain I was going to pass. What changed was I was confident I knew the material. I just never felt like what I knew was reflected. The last 3 or 4 weeks before I took the test, I was like, whether or not I pass, I know I knew it. I knew enough to pass. And that did change over time.
That's awesome. Absolutely. I actually say that's the number 2 thing that I look for when I'm considering whether or not a student should postpone their exam. The first is obviously the ComSays, score reports, and then number 2 is confidence. So just kind of circling back, you said you had to slow down on the Anki a little bit, which is strange because usually I have to convince people that they should be doing Anki. Can you explain what you meant by that?
So I did not use Anki at all during med school, except for sporadic moments for exams, because it wasn't easy to find stuff that was specific to my school's content. But when I started with boards, at the very beginning, I was trying to fill content. I was trying to remember it all. And Anki was just really easy for me. And it's what I did for the first month or so that got me up to a decent level of knowledge. But then I just kept adding more. It's nice to know, I know what this card is, and it never comes again. And I would often, when I would do questions, I would miss little things. I'm like, I know that was an Anki card. And it just made me want to do more. But then I got to doing like 5,000 or 6,000 cards a day. And it's too many.
Wait, I remember 2,000 cards a day. Were you actually doing 5,000?
I slowed down at the end when we were doing more exams, but towards the middle, I was doing 5,000 to 7,000.
Honestly, I've never even heard of that.
I was a busybody.
I know you told me you're sitting in front of the TV eating and just smashing spacebar somehow and making it all work. And you know what? That's impressive, but it's like the polar opposite of what I normally hear. Like normally people don't like Anki, they've never used it or they didn't know how to use it. But for me, number 1 pitfall is not using Anki or some kind of spaced repetition. And then the number 2 pitfall is not using spaced repetition or Anki correctly. And for you, I think you were falling a little bit into that second category. You're doing a lot of it, just not necessarily correctly. And that was really a hindrance on your learning because I think you were relying on it as a clutch to just memorize everything instead of actually trying to understand the material.
Because I think that for me, in boards specifically, Anki if I missed it, there was a redeeming chance that came. I always felt so stupid when I did a practice question. Everyone was like, you need to miss the questions and then you'll feel frustrated and never miss them again. That didn't work for me. So like, I'm just going to Anki my way to it.
Okay. So on that note, before you started working with us, you were doing a ton of Anki. What else were you doing that wasn't necessarily working?
The only thing else I was doing was content review and TrueLearn.
Okay. Naturally. TrueLearn. Got to throw that in there. Just
Yes.
not
Yep.
working. I mean, it's the only question bank we have, really. But okay. So just a lot of content and then a lot of memorization. It sounds like as much as you were memorizing, it wasn't really sticking and you couldn't apply it to the questions. Does that sound right? So then you started working with us. And what was it about our approach that really worked for you?
The personalization was the first thing. We tackled areas I didn't know, the root of my issues. So like with physiology, we drove those home. Areas that I felt like I knew or didn't know as well were areas that you spotted and targeted. And so they became strengths. You didn't let me live them down. I learned to know what they are. And then you helped me get rid of habits that weren't as helpful. We changed the way I was thinking about things. We did practice questions together, and then we just reinforced concepts that I needed.
Yeah, the customization is a big thing because I see a lot of these big name board prep companies. It's all very group centric. It's easy to get lost in all that, and you don't really get a lot of personalized attention. But we do things differently. Our focus is on the one-on-one. We do have group now as well, but that is supplemental at this point. Again, something that we do differently is that we have a team, period, and we have physician tutors. It's not med students. We do have med students, but that's not the center of our focus here. So what was it like working with a group of attending physicians for your prep as opposed to, say, just one person?
That was actually something that I was going to mention before, so I'm glad you brought it up. I loved working with you because I was able to work with you a lot. And so you were, more than anyone else, were able to detect my mannerisms, my way I thought, and you were able to do that and get me there. But there were specific areas that I could go to other people that gave me new perspective. Dr. David, the neuro person, he had a very, very different perspective than you about certain things, which he often helped me figure things out that I just couldn't with you. And then God bless the OMM person. He really did. I honestly got so many questions right thanks to him. He's like, "Oh, it's so easy. Here you go. That's so good." I feel like OMM was one of those things that med school overcomplicates. And he's like, "Oh no. You're only going to be asked these three ways. Got it? Moving on." Honestly, him and you saved me so much. But all three of them are amazing, different perspectives.
Absolutely. And Dr. B actually writes OMM questions for COMLEX. So that is a huge selling point for him, is that he actually knows what's on it because he writes some of the questions. And he's so nice. They're all so nice. I don't think we have anybody on our team who's mean, unfortunately. I'm probably the meanest one.
You are, I think. That's okay, though.
It's tough love. It's tough love.
It is. Yes.
I love that, like what you said, different perspectives. Like Dr. David, honestly, he's brilliant. He's an attending neurologist, so he'll tell you exactly what you need to know to be a real neurologist. I'll tell you the super dumb way that I know neurology. They both work.
Yes.
For different circumstances. One thing about our program is that it is not cheap. This is a premium tutoring resource. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about joining, whether it's cost or maybe just not sure that our method would work for them? Anything.
Yeah, so my biggest concern was the cost. Once I decided I wanted to work with you, I feel like it was the cost for me. In the end, I feel like there were two things that sealed it for me. First is that you guys continue to work with people even if you don't pass. I was like, I can't pay this kind of money and be left high and dry. I need someone that's going to stick with me. And then more than anything else, for me, it was once I was able to physically afford it, it came down to if I don't pass and I look back and I wonder if this would have worked. Because it does change my future if I have to take this again. So many doors close. And I just needed to not leave a door closed. And the trial session was just enough to be like, it's worth it.
That's awesome. I think that's something that people overlook because, like, the downside is more expensive by a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you have to take a leave of absence, usually you have to pay to do that. Not in your scenario, as you're now a PhD student. Congratulations, by the way. Yeah. So people that have to take a leave to keep studying usually have to continue paying some kind of tuition. That's all attending salary lost. I mean, a whole year of an LOA. If you have to get pushed back 6 months and start with your next cohort, you just lost $250,000 or more as an attending.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention your tuition is like $70,000 a year. And to get like 2 months of pre-educated, it's not even a tenth of that. Anyway, end rant. If you had to summarize your biggest takeaway from your time with us, anything, how you study, whatever.
When I went into studying for boards, I thought it was content. It really isn't content. It's more than anything else. My biggest takeaway was learning how to answer the questions and getting into the mind of the test maker. There isn't actually that much content. They can't ask you it too many ways. It really is just learning how they're going to ask it and what's a possible answer. And that's what took me so long.
Absolutely. Like how many ITP and CHF questions have you seen?
Yeah.
500.
Yes.
But they keep getting you on them because you're not familiar with how to interpret the questions and how to apply what you know to the questions. That's perfect. We're going to get so many great TikTok shorts out of this. Thank you, Clayton. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So you're in your PhD program now. How long does that last?
Till I finish? Hopefully 4, but it might be 5
months.
Years.
Yikes.
Yes.
Well, that'll be its own journey. We'll revisit with you then to see how you have to relearn all of medicine. But that's a completely different video. Power to you for doing that. I couldn't be me. So I guess the question on my mind, normally I ask people, are you going to be working with us again for your next board exam? But we are already working on USMLE Step 1 at this point. So I think we've already sealed the deal there. What about to anybody, again, just kind of considering, still on the fence, not sure, is there anything you would want them to know?
Yeah, I feel like for tutoring, you need to ask yourself, are you struggling with content? Because if you are, then that may not necessarily be something you need with tutoring. That wasn't a worry for me. What was the bigger worry for me, and what I feel like when you go to a tutor, is if you're struggling with things you know. I was missing questions on topics like endocrine that I absolutely knew, but I was getting lost in the question, and more Anki and more TrueLearn weren't getting it. I needed someone else to kind of point out what I was doing wrong. If that's what your problem is, then a tutor is what you need. If it's not, then it may not be. But you guys are also so good that there were things that I thought I knew that you fixed. So if you have any doubt, all you can lose is money, as sad as that is. But this exam is too big to make a mistake on. I hated it. I hated taking it. But the absolute nightmare of having to retake it, I would have paid double.
Wow. Okay. So you're saying I should increase my prices?
No, please don't.
No. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Clayton. That's very insightful. So I'm sure people watching this will have some questions for you. Is there anywhere they could reach out to you? Socials, email, anything like that?
Yeah, I can give you my email. You want me to say it?
We'll put it in the description of this video, or maybe the comments if you're watching this on TikTok or something. But cool. Thank you, Clayton. Any final remarks, closing statements?
Nope, I've said enough.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you again, sir. We wish you the best with your PhD program, and I'll see you soon for some Step 1 content. Not content, question strategy, like you said.